So I also wanted to ask you what were some of the most challenging aspects of the tour and or the concept in general, like the piece in general, the actual the realization of the
Yeah,
project.
the realization of the project was extremely hard. There is no sort of national data bank or like transcribers of political speeches, and so the transcripts and sometimes even the audio only get released very sporadically, the complete audio. And there was a project, a public radio project that was releasing audio, but you could only access it if you were a radio station. And then the actual transcripts of the speeches were never complete. They were always publicized. They were always like put on the internet or like released as planned per delivery. But then what would actually happen in the delivery is that things would get adjusted or things would get changed, or maybe they made a last minute change to the speech, or the politician decided to ad lib, and so there's lots of pieces that were missing. So I had to listen to all the audio, and then read the transcripts and readjust the transcripts to actually fit what actually got said. And I did that with a team of people. I had a team of about 7 people helping me with this work. Um, and then the whole process of making karaoke, that's a whole other very complicated thing. And but I got really lucky because I got sponsored by this software company, KJams, and the guy who owns it basically was doing tech support for me the entire tour. Like every time I had a problem, or if any time I needed to sort of change the software to make it do what I needed it to do, he was available to help me do that. And it was really, before, like in this kind of software, like it was really hard to do duets, and he was able to change it for me so I could really easily like make duets happen. And so that was really complicated. And then the actual touring was physically horrific. I toured with Amtrak because I wanted to have this sort of sense of like an old world political party and do a whistle stop tour. And traveling Amtrak in the U.S. leaves, unfortunately, a lot to be desired. I was on a train that was 24 hours late. I was on another train that we thought we were going to get hit by a tornado, and um, there were these points where you're there and
The
you
wild
just,
U.S.
yeah, and you just think that like you're on this train full of people who are all angry that we're on this train for 8 hours and we're only 73 miles outside of Chicago, and then all of a sudden it looks like like a tornado's gonna hit, and people are all trying to call people on their cell phones, but nobody has any reception. And when we all realized we're going to live, then it sort of blew up into a big party, and it was really great also being on the trains because I got to talk to a lot of people about the project. I had a lot of propaganda, so I had T-shirts and buttons and these flyers and little cards I would hand out, and I got to discuss the project with tons of people, between like a Boy Scout troop leader to grandmothers visiting their grandkids to like punk kids who are just like decided to get on the train one day. And I really spent a lot of time just talking to the public and asking them, what they thought about the election, or what they think about the power of words and the power of the speech as an art form. And I got a lot of really interesting insight, and it was really great because if these people were in the same towns as my performances, they would come. If they weren't in the same town, they would often tell other people, and so I had people coming to shows who came to me and said, you talked to my grandma on a train in between New Mexico and Nevada, and she thought you were really great and told me to come to your show. So it was really great to have those sort of interactions happening. And performing, I'm really scared at performing on a stage, so I had to really learn how to adjust my role in the situation and to be able to adapt so quickly to the situation of the audience. I had one show in Gainesville, in Florida, with Flex Film Festival, and we're sitting in this bar, and it looks like nobody's there. And I'm all set up, I'm ready to go, and Roger Beebe, the director of Flex Film Festival, is apologizing to me because we just don't think there's an audience. And what I forgot was that there was a bar actually on the outside of the bar. They had a big patio. So as soon as I turn on the music, I start playing Hail to the Chief or something, like a MIDI version of it. And like 150 people walk in the room. And it goes from a completely empty room to like 150 people. And then people just keep coming. So at the end, I think there was maybe like 200-300 people there.
Was that one of the best shows for you?
It was a really great show.
What
I
was
don't.
the show that meant the most to you personally, or where you had the I don't know, where it just worked the best?
I don't know. I
Can
think
you say that?
they were. The Gainesville show was really. It was really killer. It was a great show. It was really big. There were lots of people. But I had one show that was really small. My one of my first shows in Buffalo was really small, and there were like 5 people there because I got booked on the same day as a music festival, the opening of the music festival in Buffalo, New York. And these 5 people went on for 3 hours. Just everyone, they just kept wanting to go, and they were like, "No, I want to do another speech." And okay, well, if it's this party, and who's the absolute opposite of this party? So now I want to do the opposite, and they just kept going on and on. And then in Detroit, I got double booked and canceled, and then the show did happen, and there was this band there, and they, in building up their equipment, like took down half of my equipment, and so most of the people who wanted to come to my show thought it was canceled. I got emails afterwards where people were like, "I thought you weren't coming." And so there are only 2 people really wanting to participate in this audience of people who came for this rock band. And I felt really horrible, but then they came up to me afterwards and they were just like, "This is the best thing that has ever happened to me. This is the best thing that's ever come through Detroit, and I'm ashamed of Detroit for not like having more people here, but don't feel bad that this audience wasn't here for you, because if I wouldn't have known that about this, and I came to this thinking I'm coming to this concert, and I've just had this amazing experience, and I really am now really interested in like building a dialogue about all these ideas." So
That's great.
there were lots of different kinds of shows, but I think all of them, for me, all of them were pretty successful.